In our news for this evening, questions were raised in the House yesterday regarding the impact of the new 4-day working week on public servants and the private sector. The Public Service Commission is drafting a new pay scale with possible increases for long-serving public servants and technical staff. Fisheries are consulting village councils on the new coastal fisheries plan. The 4-day working week is proving too disruptive, according to several MPs in yesterday's sitting of the new House of Assembly. Public services are affected and private sector is losing out, were some of the comments made by MPs opposed to the 4-day working week. Here's more on that story. This is the third week of the 4-day working week, and according to some members of the House, it is just not working. A motion introduced to remove the 4-day week was defeated in the House yesterday. However, the MP who introduced the motion says it served its purpose.
All I wanted is to create the debate in the House, because I'm not really concerned whether we were defeated or we'd won. The issue was to debate it and get other people's views. Not everyone spoke, and that's the disappointing part about in the House there, that people are just sitting there, or, like some of them, they left at lunchtime and never came back. And we didn't hear their views on how they thought or how their village, think about the idea. And that's another one that the village MPs should bring it up with their village to hear what they say and they bring that to the House. But that's not the case. They're just bringing their own views or the caucus views.
There are many areas, MP Terry Coe says, are affected by the reduction in working hours. In particular is the long-term impact, he says, this will have on the public service itself.
I think the biggest one is people working on Fridays and then having Monday off. Like the agriculture, they work at the airport, so if you want something from agriculture you can't get it at the office. And then on Monday, all the people that were working at the airport have the whole day off, even though they've only worked, part of the day at the airport, but they get the whole of Monday off. And so the private sector is penalised that, they can't do anything on that day. And that goes the same with the quarry and civil. Again, they're not working on Fridays, and people, want materials and that for the weekend, can't get them. And post office open on Friday to get the parcels in the afternoon, and then closed all Monday. Surely we've got another staff that could work in there on the Monday if needed.
Terry was not alone in yesterday's debate, with several MPs voicing concerns regarding the impact on the public services' ability to administer their services and the ripple-down effect on the private sector.
The Public Service Commission didn't do their homework on all these little problems that's being brought forward. And to me, also, it was meant for the public servants, and now we're saying the quarry and civil can have that day off. They're not public servants, they're on contract. And if they get it, so should the bank and the others in those areas. And I hope that those things will be sorted out. And as I say, if people want to continue with the 5-day, well, they should be allowed to. And those who want to come back to work and get some extra pay, I think they should be allowed to do that.
We also sought comments from the Niue Public Service Commission Chair and the Niue Chamber of Commerce Chair. Although both were unavailable today, we will bring you their perspectives in a later bulletin. The Public Service Commission is drafting a new pay scale adjustment in an attempt to find a balance between providing for longer-serving and experienced public servants and newly graduated and more qualified staff. According to Justin Kamupala, this is an ongoing draft and they are about 75% of the way through. Justin Kamupala said the adjustment tries to provide for longer-serving staff members who, after many years of employment, may find they have not progressed very far from when they started in terms of their remuneration. He said it also looks at providing more options for technical staff to develop and move up in pay scale, so they can also remain in their respective field of expertise. Justin says often technical staff will look towards management roles in order to further their careers, as there are few options within their own field to do so. Justin says this is sometimes at the expense of the technical area they have left behind. He said government is therefore looking to try and advance their careers with those fields because having experienced technical staff is critical to the ongoing development of the country. The adjustment, he says, is being done in conjunction with Cabinet and Ministers for Public Service. The draft, once completed, will go to Cabinet to decide whether it will be implemented. Managing our coastal fisheries for long-term sustainability is one of the key motivators behind the drafting of a coastal fisheries management plan. The plan is in its final stages of drafting, with stakeholders being given the last chance for input before the plan is finalized. After several consultations, this is the final drafting stage for a document that will assist in the future management of all Niue's coastal marine resources. Director Brendan Pasisi emphasized the importance of that consultation process to get a wide and accurate response from the public.
I think the big issues really is making sure that the resource, we can actually start to get a better handle on what the status of the resource is, communicate that back to the village community so that they have an opportunity to have input into how best to manage it. And of course the other issues will be how it impacts on various people if you put restrictions or limits or regulatory measures in place to try and ensure that the resource is managed properly. It always has an impact on people's lives. So I guess that's the most important part, is that we need to realize that if we want to manage the resource sustainably, there are some sacrifices that we have to make, and we need to be conscious about how we harvest them. If we want to have access to that resource forever and a day, then we need to manage it in a way that allows for that.
Brendan was thankful for all his fisheries staff's hard work in working through this process and for the positive participation of the general public.
This is the sort of the tail end, or the final sort of presentation of the draft. So I guess if you look at it in totality, the fisheries staff have gone out and had consultations at the village level and come in now to sort of a final roundup. It's just basically checking back to make sure that all of the issues that they have raised during their village consultations with fisheries staff and with SBC are reflected in the management plan that's been drafted, and that they are comfortable with it. And it's an opportunity for some final input from them before we move to having it approved and moving to an implementation phase.
Brendan says looking towards maintaining a sustainable long-term resource is never an easy task. However, the main target is to provide for the future.
It's extremely important. As you know, the coastal fisheries or the reef fisheries in Niue are probably more important to Niue and the Niuean people than any of our other fisheries, simply from a food security perspective. Just about everybody has access to the sea if they wish to, down on the reef, shellfish and hook and line fishing, what have you. So from that perspective, it's extremely important. Yeah.
And that's our news for this evening. We hope to see you again later in the week.